I was standing on the Belmont Avenue bus platform with my son tucked against me, trying to shield him from the wind, when I heard someone behind me say my name. Tiana? Tiana Brooks, baby, is that you? I turned and my heart nearly dropped out of my chest. My father, Calvin Brooks, was hurrying toward me, eyes locked on mine like he hadn't seen me in years. The second his gaze swept over my faded jacket and Jalen's too small coat, something heavy settled in my stomach. I could see it, the realization spreading across his face. He knew. He could see everything I'd been trying so hard to hide. Tiana, he asked gently, why are you out here? And where's your car? The one I worked overtime for. The cold stung my cheeks, but the shame stung worse. I sold it. The way he blinked, slow, stunned, hit me like a punch. You sold it. For what? My throat tightened, words coming out barely above a whisper. For them. Them who? Chase and his mom. Welcome to the channel. I share real-life inspired stories. Stories about survival, the truth we hide, and the moments that change everything. If you like these stories, feel free to subscribe or tap the like button. No pressure at all. All right, let's continue. Dad, can we go somewhere? I asked quietly. Please. He didn't hesitate. He never did. We crossed the street to a small diner with flickering neon lights and windows fogged from the warmth inside. Jalen slid into the booth beside me, humming softly, while my father sat across from us, worry etched deep into his face. All right, he said gently. Tell me what's going on. I stared at the table, breath shaking. For months, I had avoided this moment. Months of dodging his calls, pretending everything was fine, lying whenever he asked if I need anything. The guilt sat heavy on my chest. It started after Jalen was born. At first, Marsha Daniels, seemed like she wanted to help. She brought food, folded laundry, offered tips. I rubbed my thumb along the side of the table, but little by little she started correcting me. How I fed him, how I bathed him, how I even talked to him. I could still hear her voice in my head. You're too soft, Tiana. You don't know what you're doing. And then it got harsher. She said I wasn't responsible with money, that Chase needed someone more stable. Chase Daniels, would just stand there, leaning against the wall, letting his mother tear me apart. His silence cut deeper than anything she said. But the worst part, she said, was when she found out about Grandma's house. Dad's jaw flexed. My inheritance, I said, the 2-bedroom in South Shore. She said it wasn't fair I held it over Chase's head. She wanted me to sign it over. The memory made my shoulders tighten. I told her no, and everything changed. My father leaned in slightly. What happened next? A lot, I breathed. I told him about the debit card disappearing, about the bank account drained, how Chase told me I shouldn't worry about money, that I was too stressed to think clearly, how I began second-guessing myself, wondering if I really was losing control. And then I swallowed. She showed me something. My father's eyes narrowed. She pulled up a video of me. I swallowed hard. It looked like I was yelling at Jalen, shaking him. But it wasn't real. They clipped things together, edited it, made it look like abuse. The memory made my stomach twist. She told me she'd send it to child services if I didn't do what she wanted. And she wasn't bluffing. She said it calmly, like she'd practiced it. My father's hands curled slowly into fists. There's more. I forced the words out. A few days later, my boss called me into his office. The scene replayed in my mind with painful clarity. He had a stack of financial reports, numbers changed, signatures forged, all under my login. My father's eyes darkened. I knew it wasn't me. I knew exactly whose hands were behind it. Marcia has a cousin who does IT security, but there was no proof. And the look on my boss's face? I shook my head. I felt myself disappearing. Dad didn't interrupt. He didn't even blink. He just waited. And then I hesitated, throat tightening. The night you got mugged, his whole posture shifted. It wasn't random, I said. Marcia told me the next morning that older men shouldn't walk alone at night. She said things happen. A cold shiver rippled down my spine. I'd carried that guilt alone for so long, it felt like it lived in my bones. My father's face didn't move, but something simmered behind his eyes, a quiet, contained fury. And last week, something happened at Jalen's daycare. My breath shook. When I walked out, 2 men were standing across the street. Not talking, not moving, just staring. The memory made my palms sweat. My heartbeat felt like it was shaking my whole body. When I told Chase, I continued, bitter laughter catching in my throat. He said maybe if I signed the deed over, his mom would relax. That was the moment something inside me snapped. He wasn't clueless. He wasn't overwhelmed. He was participating. My voice broke. Dad, they take my money. They monitor my phone. They decide when I can leave the house, and they're saying if I don't sign the house over, child services will take Jalen. Jalen giggled beside me, tapping his juice cup with sticky fingers, unaware of the storm hovering above us. My father didn't speak at first. He stared at me, absorbing every detail, every threat, every wound. Silence stretched between us. For a moment, I thought he might break. His eyes glistened, just barely, but then something hardened, quiet, sharp, controlled. Finally, he drew in a slow breath. Tiana, he said softly, I need you to listen very carefully. The tone made goosebumps rise along my arms. There's something I never told you, he said. I blinked. What do you mean? He leaned closer. His voice dropped into something low, precise, almost dangerous. I spent 25 years in military intelligence, counter-extortion, covert operations, tracking threats, neutralizing them quietly. I froze, breath stalled in my chest. It felt like the entire diner blurred around us. My father, the man who grilled on Sundays and fixed wobbly chairs, was not the man I thought I knew. You're not stepping back into that house alone. Not tonight, not ever. I swallowed, emotion pushing up into my throat. Dad, he shook his head. They picked the wrong family to terrorize. His eyes sharpened, steady as steel. And I'm going to end this. My father's next words were the moment everything shifted. He didn't flinch, didn't raise his voice, didn't even lean closer. He just watched me the way a surgeon might study a patient before the first incision. In 3 minutes, he said calmly, we stand up and leave. No rush, no fear. You walk like everything is fine. My heart gave a painful kick. Dad, what's happening? We go to your apartment, he continued. You pack for 48 hours, essentials only. Clothes, IDs, documents, cash. one phone, and it stays off once we leave that building. A tight grip formed beneath my ribs. But Chase will... Let him worry, Dad said quietly. If everything you've told me is true, then you move like someone might be watching. That sentence slid under my skin like a blade. Jalen swung his legs, humming softly, his juice cup empty. His innocence made the moment feel heavier, sharper. You ready? Dad asked. I wasn't, but I nodded anyway. We stepped outside, into the cold. A gust of wind hit my face, and then I saw it. A blue sedan creeping past the diner. Slow. Too slow. Windows tinted dark. My father's eyes flicked toward it for a fraction of a second, just long enough to acknowledge it. Walk, he murmured. We passed the bus stop, turned down a side street, and approached an old gray ESV parked under a tree. It looked unremarkable, boring even, perfectly forgettable. Is this yours? I whispered. Yes, paid cash, no paper trail. This is prepared, I said quietly. He opened the back door and lifted Jalen into a car seat, already installed. I didn't leave military intelligence and forget how to handle a threat. Get in. My hands shook as I buckled myself. Then my phone vibrated. A harsh, angry vibration. Dad didn't even look. Do not touch that phone. But what if that vibration is control? Don't give it oxygen. My breath hitched. I nodded. He drove with quiet, methodical precision. 2 quick turns, then a stretch down a side street, then a sudden left that forced the car behind us to slow. He checked the mirrors in a rhythm that didn't feel random. He wasn't driving. He was scanning. We finally parked 2 buildings away from my apartment. We walked from here. Steady pace. Nothing frantic. The parking lot looked wrong. Quiet enough to echo. A curtain shifted in a top-floor window. A door slammed somewhere behind us. Jalen held his stuffed lion against his chest, whispering to it. At my door, Dad whispered, "Unlock slowly." My hands trembled. Inside, everything looked normal, but in the kind of way that made my stomach twist. The blanket on the couch, the half-finished laundry basket, Jalen's drawing taped to the fridge. It all felt untouched by the truth. My stomach clenched hard. Dad appeared in the doorway. "You all right?" "I'm good." "You're pale." I said I'm good. He watched me for a beat, then nodded. 2 minutes. I zipped the bag, lifted Jalen, and followed him. Halfway down the stairwell, my phone vibrated again. Longer. Harder. Like it knew we were slipping away. Dad turned immediately. "Don't." "But it doesn't matter who it is. If they're already calling this much, they sense the shift. Keep moving." My pulse hammered as we crossed the lot. At the ESV, Dad loaded the bags and held out his hand. "Phone." I hesitated before pulling it out. The screen flashed with missed calls and texts. 7 from Chase, 5 for Marcia. One message that tightened my throat. "You do not want me coming to you. Pick up." A cold prickle ran across my skin. Dad said softly, 3 seconds. I stared at the text. Every part of me wanted to respond, to soften the blow, to keep the peace, to stop the storm. Dad's voice cut in, quiet but firm. "Tiana, break the pattern." My thumb hovered, then pressed the power button. The screen went black. Something unlatched inside me. Dad nodded. Good. We drove again. Winding roads, alleys, back routes, doubling back. Dad changed directions often, never staying predictable. At one point, he took a diagonal turn through an empty parking lot, then blended onto a side street. He wasn't rushing. He was erasing a trail. Finally, he pulled behind an old auto shop with a rusted sign and a fenced-off back lot. A tall man stepped out of the garage. Broad shoulders, peppered beard, eyes that took everything in at once. "That's Marcus," Dad murmured. "Marcus Tate." Marcus Tate walked toward us with a slow, steady gait. "Calvin, if you're here like this, something's boiling." Dad gave a humorless exhale. "More than boiling." Marcus glanced at me, then at Jalen. "Guest unit's open. You'll be safe there." We stepped inside. The air smelled faintly of cedar and peppermint. A small couch, a clean kitchen, one bedroom. Nothing fancy, but the silence was warm and still. Jalen climbed onto the couch and giggled, bouncing softly. "Mommy, this is cozy." I kissed her cheek. "Yeah, baby, it is." Dad locked the door, checked every window, then the corners. He scanned the vents, the entryway, even the space under the bed, as if mapping every angle from muscle memory. Finally, I asked, "Dad, what now?" He stood, hands on his hips, thinking. "Now," he said, slowly, "I take every piece of what you told me, and I find the pattern." He paced once across the room. The fake video, the forged documents, the drained account, the men at the daycare, the mugging warning, the pressure about the deed, their texts. Each line struck like a hammer. A tightness gripped beneath my ribs. He turned toward me. "Tiana, none of this was random. It wasn't anger. It wasn't even about control." My breath caught. It was staging. Setting the board. My mind raced. For what? He held my gaze. For something bigger. "And the way they blew up your phone today?" He shook his head. "That means they're ready to act." My knees went weak. "Dad, what are they going to do?" He cracked his knuckles once. A sharp, decisive sound. "It means, Tiana," his voice dropped to something steady and lethal, "we stop waiting for them to make the next move." The next morning, my father woke up before the sun, and the first thing he did was ask for my phone. My stomach flipped. "I thought you said to keep it off." "We are," he said, sitting at the tiny kitchen table. "Most of the time, but right now, we're going to use it." Use it, not obey it. The difference made my palms sweat. He set my phone down on the table beside an old beat-up notebook Marcus had given him. A small digital recorder sat in the center, like an extra set of ears. "We're not calling them," he said. "We're letting them call you, and you're going to let them talk. You won't admit to anything. You won't argue. You'll let them show us who they really are." My chest tightened. "Dad, I don't know if I can—" "You can, because I'll be right here." Jalen was still asleep in the bedroom, wrapped up with his lion. The safe house felt quiet, but I knew there was nothing safe about what we were about to do. Dad powered my phone on and set it face up on the table. It lit up instantly. Missed calls, new messages, voicemail notifications. My notifications filled the screen like tiny alarms. My thumb hovered over the silence button, but Dad stopped me with a look. "Let it sit," he said. "Let them see you're back online." The first call came less than a minute later. The screen flashed. Chase. My heart hammered. Dad tapped the recorder on. Speaker, he mouthed. I swallowed and answered. Hello? Tiana, what the hell? Why weren't you answering? Where are you? He sounded more angry than worried. That hurt more than I wanted it to. I needed some space, I said quietly. Things have been a lot. You needed space? He echoed, like it was the most ridiculous thing he'd ever heard. You disappear with the kid and your phone off and you needed space? Behind his voice, I thought I heard another, the sharper pitch of his mother, low and furious. My father scribbled on the notebook, let him talk, don't justify. I forced myself to breathe. Chase, do you hear what you're saying right now? He kept going like he hadn't even heard me. And anyway, you keep acting like this and we won't have to call them. Someone else will. My fingers tightened around the phone. What's that supposed to mean? It means, he said coolly, unstable mothers lose custody all the time. That's just facts. My father wrote in darker, angrier strokes now. He knows he's participating. Before I could respond, another voice pushed its way into the call. Tiana? Marcia. Her tone was sugar over glass. You scared us, she said, but there was no tremor of actual fear in it. You shouldn't run off like this. It makes you look unbalanced. My father underlined that word 3 times. I needed a break, I said quietly. Everything's been a lot. A break? She repeated. Parents don't get to run off when things feel a lot. That's not how it works. You have responsibilities. A job, a husband, a child. A home you're not capable of managing on your own? My jaw clenched. And speaking of that home, we need to settle that deed quickly. The longer it's left in your name, the more exposed everyone is. Dad scribbled, exposed how? Ask. Exposed how? I repeated, hating how small my voice sounded. Well, for one, your financial instability. It reflects badly. If something were to happen, say a report about your behavior reached the wrong people, the fact that the house is in your name complicates things for all of us. My skin crawled. They're not just planning to take the house, they're planning to weaponize my own life against me. We're still willing to help you, she added. If you sign things over, we can make sure the right agencies see you as cooperative, someone trying to get stable, not the alternative. The alternative. Losing Jalen. My father's knuckles were white around the pen. I need time, I said softly. I'm not signing anything today. Chase cursed under his breath. Tiana, enough. You're making this harder than it has to be. You come back, we talk, we fix this. You keep playing games, Mom won't have any choice but to protect Jalen herself. Tears stung my eyes. Protect him from who? From you, she said simply. My throat tightened so hard I could barely speak. My father reached across, tapped the table once. End it. I have to go, I whispered. Jalen woke up. Don't hang up on us, Tiana. You are running out of... I ended the call. For a moment, silence rang louder than their voices had. My father slowly turned off the recorder and set the pen down. His face looked like carved from stone. They just gave us everything, he said. I wiped at my eyes. What if they mean it? What if they called child services anyway? Oh, they already have, another voice said from the doorway. I turned. A woman stood there, wearing jeans, a dark blazer, and the kind of expression that said she'd seen too much and didn't scare easily. Marcus hovered behind her in the hall. She's good, Calvin. Like, your kind of good. My father nodded. Tiana, this is Detective Anika Ward, old colleague of mine. First mention, Detective Anika Ward. She stepped in, closed the door, and looked right at me. I've read some of your file already. I stiffened. My file? She held up a folder. Your employer flagged irregular activity under your login. A case number got attached. I picked it up because the forgery pattern looked wrong. Too clean, too consistent. My father gave a humorless smile. Told you the reports were staged? And yesterday, she continued, an anonymized report was filed to Child Protective Services, claiming you scream at your child, shake him, leave him unattended for hours. I felt sick. The video, I whispered. She nodded once. Whoever did this knows how to build a narrative. Chaotic mother, financial incompetence, risky behavior. If CPS shows up at your place with no context, you're in trouble. I'm not even at my place, I said weakly. That buys us time, but not much. My father gestured to the recorder. We got them on tape. Extortion, threats, admitting knowledge of the forged reports, implying they control what CPS sees. Ward nodded. That helps. A lot. But we're not done. I swallowed. What else do you need? Paper trails, digital trails, transaction history, camera footage if we can get it, and more of them talking. The stronger the pattern, the harder it is for a judge to ignore. The word judge made my chest tighten. What happens if CPS finds me before we're ready? I asked quietly. Then, she said, they'll knock on your door with a story already in their heads. We have to get ahead of that. How? I asked. She glanced at my father, then back at me. By flipping the script. You don't hide forever. You walk into CPS before they walk into you, with a lawyer, a detective, and evidence. The thought made my stomach lurch. I'm supposed to walk into the place they're trying to sick on me? Ward said, it's better than waiting for them to show up while your abusers control the narrative. Trust me. My father looked at me. We're not throwing you to the wolves. We're walking in with teeth. Jalen stirred in the other room, letting out a sleepy sound. For a second, I wanted to forget all of this, crawl in for that bed and pretend the world outside didn't exist. But I couldn't. Not anymore. Ward set the folder on the table and clicked a pen. First step, she said, we secure your accounts. We pull your bank records. We talk to your boss off the record for context. We start mapping every place they touched your life. And while you do that, I asked, voice small. My father answered, while she does that, I'm going to pay your husband and his mother a visit. My head snapped up. Dad, no! He said, I'm not walking through their door. I'm not giving them that advantage, but I am making sure they know something changed. A chill slid down my spine. What are you going to do? He gave a thin, grim smile. I'm going to remind them that when you push someone into a corner, sometimes they come out with witnesses. My heartbeat thudded loud in my ears. Ward closed her notebook. Whatever you do, Calvin, she said, don't spook them into disappearing. We need them confident, sloppy. My father nodded. I know exactly how to shake their foundation without making them run. I looked between the two of them. My quiet father turned strategist, the detective with a folder carrying pieces of my life, and I realized something. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't alone. That didn't make it less terrifying. Dad picked up his coat. Stay here, he told me. Ward will keep you updated. Lock the door behind me and don't open it for anyone but her or Marcus. I swallowed. What if they find us? He paused at the door. Then, he said simply, they'll wish they hadn't. And with that, my father stepped out, walking straight toward the people who had spent months trying quietly to destroy my life. Marcus had barely closed the door behind my father when Detective Ward slipped into the seat across from me, flipping open the folder she'd brought. The safe house felt too quiet suddenly, like even the walls were waiting to find out what happened next. We need to move fast, she said. Chase and his mother think they're ahead of you. That makes people reckless. I swallowed hard. Reckless how? Reckless enough to push the narrative before you push yours. They expect you to fold under pressure. She tapped the folder lightly. We're going to break that pattern. Her calm was comforting, but my nerves were frayed. My hands wouldn't stop shaking under the table. Ward slid her laptop out. First, we build a timeline. Every threat, every forged report, every financial hit, every interaction where they framed you as unstable. That's our leverage. Then, she paused, eyeing me. We get ahead of CPS. My throat tightened. I still can't believe they actually filed something. Ward's expression didn't soften, but it grew focused. They didn't just file something. They filed a polished narrative. Someone walked into that office with bullet-pointed talking notes. That's not normal. That's intent. A sickness curled in my stomach. So, what are they saying about me? Ward opened the file. Let's see. Unpredictable, aggressive, inconsistent work performance, erratic financial behavior, speakers yelling in your home, excessive crying, leaving Jalen in unsafe conditions. My breath hitched. None of that is real. I know, but abuse cases rarely rely on what's true. They rely on what sticks. Just then, Jalen wandered out, rubbing his eyes, holding his lion by one leg. Mommy? I pulled him into my lap and kissed his head. Hey, baby. He curled against me, warm and soft. Ward watched him closely, not with suspicion, but with the practiced eye of someone reading context, safety, emotional cues. He's bonded, she said quietly. Grounded. Kids who live in danger look different. He doesn't. A flutter of relief went through me. But before I could respond, my phone buzzed. Once, twice, then again. The screen lit up with a private number. Ward snatched it lightly before I could touch it. Voicemail only, she said. We don't answer private numbers. She let it ring out. Then she pressed play. The voice that filled the room wasn't Chase. It was Marcia. Tiana, she said, tone icy and deliberate. If you don't return my call by noon, I will make one final report. After that, it's out of my hands. You won't be able to claim you weren't warned. My stomach dropped. Jalen buried his face in my shoulder, sensing the shift. Ward replayed the message, frowning. She's escalating too fast. That tells me something rattled her. My dad, I whispered. He said he was going to shake their foundation. She nodded slowly. He might have already. Before she could elaborate, Marcus knocked once and walked in with a tablet in hand. You need to see this. Ward took it. Her brows lifted. What? I asked, heart thudding. Marcus turned the screen toward me. A neighborhood Facebook group post. A blurry photo. The angle looked like it was taken from a car window. It was us. Me, Jalen, my father, walking toward my apartment hours ago. The caption read, Does anyone know these people? They've been acting suspicious. My blood ran cold. Ward zoomed in. This car, the angle, that's the same blue sedan from this morning. How did they find me? How are they this close? Marcus crossed his arms. They've been circling your block, maybe the whole neighborhood. This was posted 20 minutes ago. Jalen whimpered against my chest. I kissed his forehead. It's okay, baby. It's okay. Ward closed the tablet. They're not just pushing CPS. They're building a digital trail. Community suspicion plus official reports combined with financial instability. That's how you disappear a mother on paper. Disappear. The word dug into me. My father, I whispered. He's walking into this alone. Ward stood up. Kelvin knows how to move. He spent years dealing with people who made careers of being invisible. Chase and his mother aren't that smart. That should have comforted me, but it didn't. Marcus cleared his throat. Kelvin just sent this. He handed Ward his phone. She read the message, her eyes widened slightly. What? I asked, heart thudding. Marcus turned the screen toward me. A neighborhood Facebook group post. A blurry photo. The angle looked like it was taken from a car window. It was us. Me, Jalen, my father, walking toward my apartment hours ago. The caption read, "Does anyone know these people? They've been acting suspicious." My blood ran cold. Ward zoomed in. This car, the angle, that's the same blue sedan from this morning. How did they find me? How are they this close? Marcus crossed his arms. They've been circling your block, maybe the whole neighborhood. This was posted 20 minutes ago. Jalen whimpered against my chest. It's okay, baby. It's okay. Ward closed the tablet. They're not just pushing CPS. They're building a digital trail. Community suspicion plus official reports combined with financial instability. That's how you disappear a mother on paper. Disappear. The word dug into me. My father, I whispered. He's walking into this alone. Ward stood up. Kelvin knows how to move. He spent years dealing with people who made careers of being invisible. Chase and his mother aren't that smart. That should have comforted me, but it didn't. Marcus cleared his throat. Kelvin just sent this. He handed Ward his phone. She read the message. Her eyes widened slightly. What? I asked, heart thudding. Ward paced a bit. Before she could elaborate, Marcus smiled. Kelvin has been watching Chase and his mother for 3 hours. They have no idea he's even setting up a surveillance grid. They're barely far enough from the camera footage that Marcus has. So, they snoozed a bit. And most of what happened basically came from them. But just then, Jalen walked into the kitchen holding his lion by one leg. Mommy? Ward smiled. Good, keep him grounded. Jalen reached for a banana, and Marcus handed him gently. Ward turned back to me, lowering her voice. We need to prepare for what's coming next. What's coming next? I whispered. The panic phase, she said. When abusers feel the narrative slipping out of their hands, they start making mistakes. Big ones. Dangerous ones. A sharp knock hit the door. 3 short raps. Ward stiffened. Marcus set the pan down immediately and moved toward the door, hand near his waistband. My pulse skyrocketed. They found us! Shh! Ward raised a single finger. Marcus peeked through the pee-hole, then relaxed a fraction. It's Calvin. Ward exhaled. Let him in. Dad slipped inside, closing the door quickly behind him. His face was tense, not fearful, but focused in a way that made my stomach clench. Tiana, sit down. The tone made my knees weaken. What happened? I asked. He pulled out his phone, opened a video, and set it on the table. The footage showed Chase, pacing in a living room I recognized instantly. My living room. He looked frantic, pulling at his hair, muttering to himself. Then Marcia walked in. Calm. Too calm. We need to finish this today, she said. My breath caught. Chase shook his head. She's going to the cops, I know it. And, Marcia replied, let her. A hysterical mother with no job, no savings, and a history of unstable behavior, they won't take her seriously, but they will take her child. My vision blurred for a moment. Then Chase said something that made Ward step closer to the screen. We should have grabbed Jalen when she left for work last week. My entire body went cold. Marcia didn't flinch. That was sloppy. We needed the paperwork lined up first. Now we pivot. She's running. That works for us. It's proof she's unstable. My father paused the video as my hand flew to my mouth. They were planning, I whispered. They weren't just threatening. They were staging. Everything you said, everything Calvin figured out. This is the confirmation. My breathing stuttered. What do we do now? Ward straightened, her voice turning sharp and sure. Now we stop reacting. We build the case, and by the time they try to make their move, she glanced at my father. We will already be in the room waiting for them. Footsteps echoed in the hallway outside, distant, but approaching. Ward and Marcus exchanged a quick look. My father's voice dropped. Tiana, get Jalen in the bedroom. Now. My heart slammed against my ribs as I grabbed my son and ran. Everything was shifting again, and this time, the danger was right outside our door. I carried Jalen into the bedroom with my father's voice still echoing in my ears. Stay low. Don't make noise. The way he said it, controlled, clipped, pulled something tight inside me. Jalen clung to my shoulder, sensing everything. His little hands trembled as I crouched behind the bed, pulling him close. Mommy's right here, I whispered. I got you. Footsteps outside the safe house creaked again, slow, purposeful, not like a neighbor walking by, like someone searching. In the living room, Marcus moved silently, steady and deliberate, and Detective Ward positioned herself with the calmness of someone who'd done this before. But even that didn't ease the cold creeping up my spine. My father's voice dropped low. They shouldn't know this location, not this fast. I pressed a hand over my mouth, my stomach twisted. Had Chase tracked me? Had Marcia followed? Or was someone else involved? A soft tap hit the door. 1, 2, then a pause. Ward murmured, "That's not CPS. They knock loud and clear." Marcus slid a hand toward the concealed holster under his hoodie. My heart hammered so loud I was sure everyone could hear it through the wall. Another tap, this time sharper. My father moved toward the door and spoke through the wood. "Who is it?" Silence. Then a voice, shaky, high, and familiar. "Miss Brooks? Miss Brooks, it's me, from work." My breath caught. "Cheryl?" I whispered. She was the payroll clerk from my job, quiet, polite, barely spoke above a whisper. But what was she doing here? How did she even know where I was? My father motioned silently to Ward. Ward took position beside the door. "Cheryl," Dad said through the wood. "Step back from the door." Her voice wavered. I don't want any trouble. I swear. I didn't know where else to go." Ward nodded once at Marcus. He opened the door 2 inches, not enough for entry, but enough to see her. There she stood, wide-eyed, hair messy, clutching her purse to her chest like it was armor. Her clothes looked wrinkled, like she'd slept in them. She kept looking over her shoulder, as if terrified someone had followed her. Marcus opened the door fully. Inside, quickly. She stumbled in, breath uneven, and Marcus shut the door with a heavy thud. My dad stepped forward. "How did you find this place?" She shook her head rapidly. I didn't, I swear. Someone slit this under my apartment door last night." She dug into her purse with trembling fingers and pulled out a folded paper. The moment Dad unfolded it, Ward leaned over his shoulder. Bold letters. A printed address. This address. My stomach lurched. Cheryl's eyes brimmed with tears. "Tiana, I didn't know what it meant. I thought maybe you were in trouble. I didn't know who else to show. And then this morning, I got a call saying the police were looking for you, that CPS was trying to reach you, that you'd abandoned your child." Her voice cracked. "I know that's not true. I know you love Jalen. Dad held up a hand gently. "Cheryl, who called you?" She sniffed, wiping her face. "I don't know the number, but they said they were trying to help." Marcia. It had to be. Ward pulled out a second chair and guided Cheryl into it. You did the right thing coming here, but we need the number that called you. Cheryl nodded, hands shaking as she scrolled through her call log. She turned the phone around. The number was blocked. Ward frowned. Figures. Cheryl swallowed. There's more. My chest tightened. She dug deeper into her purse and pulled out a second folded paper. When Ward opened it, her jaw stiffened. What is it? I asked, voice barely above a whisper. Ward handed it to me. My eyes stung instantly. It was a printed photo of me, walking toward my apartment yesterday, Jalen in my arms, my father at my side. Caption underneath, possible neglect case, child at risk. Report immediately if cited. I felt something crack inside me. This is a targeted smear, Ward muttered. They're distributing this, probably slid under dozens of doors. My throat closed. Why would they do this? Why? Dad answered before Ward could. Because they're accelerating. They think they're losing control. Cheryl whispered. I didn't want to believe it, but I saw similar papers on my floor, on my neighbors. Someone's trying really hard to ruin you. Jalen crawled onto my lap, sensing the tension. I kissed his cheek, fighting tears. We need to secure evidence of this distribution. This shows intent, Ward said. Cheryl wiped her eyes again. There's something else. I don't know if it matters, but yesterday, Marcia came by the office. I froze. She what? She came looking for payroll documents, your documents. She said she needed them urgently because of a tax issue. She had a badge. It looked official. But I've seen a lot of badges. Cheryl swallowed. It wasn't real. A chill hit me so hard I swayed. Ward's expression sharpened. She forged credentials? Dad exhaled slowly. They're building a false identity for her, something to use if CPS or anyone else comes asking questions. Ward pressed her fingers to her temple. This is escalating faster than I expected. Then Dad's phone buzzed. He glanced at it. His jaw tightened. Calvin? Ward asked. Dad turned the screen toward us. A video message from Chase. My stomach flipped. Dad pressed play. Chase paced across someone's living room floor. He held a beer, half empty. His eyes were red. His words slurred slightly. Tiana, you're ruining everything. He laughed bitterly. You think you can run? You think you can hide? You're embarrassing me. You made my mom cry. You're making us look like fools. He leaned closer to the camera. You come back with Jalen right now, or things get worse. He paused, breathing hard. Don't make me show them the footage. Ward snapped upright. Footage? What footage? Dad rewound. Played it again. Don't make me show them the footage. My throat closed. The fake video? Ward stiffened. Or a new one. Cheryl gasped softly. He didn't look right. That wasn't normal anger. Dad put the phone down carefully. He's unraveling. Ward paced. And people who unravel either get slappy or violent. Jalen whimpered and clung to my shirt. I pressed my forehead to his. It's okay, baby. Mommy's right here. A knock hit the doors so hard, the entire frame shook. My heart jumped into my throat. Cheryl screamed softly. Marcus's hand flew to his holster. Ward pulled me and Jalen protectively behind her. Dad stepped in front of all of us like a human shield. Another pounding knock. This one louder. Tiana Brooks, open the door. This is Child Protective Services. Jalen cried out, clutching my arm. No, Ward whispered sharply. No one answers that door. I stared at her, panic rising. But they'll take him. Not today, they won't, she said. Not without a warrant and not while they're operating off fabricated evidence. But the knocking continued, hard, insistent, shaking the walls. Tiana Brooks, the voice barked, open the door immediately. My knees trembled. My breath came too fast. What do we do? I whispered. Ward's eyes were laser sharp. We hold and we flip this entire situation in the next 24 hours. That starts now. She turned to Marcus. Get the back route ready. Marcus nodded, already moving. Dad locked the front door with a decisive click. They don't get her. Not today. Not ever. Another slam rattled the frame. Open this door, the voice boomed. Jalen sobbed harder. Cheryl shook in the corner. My own pulse pounded so hard I thought I'd faint. Ward leaned close to me. Tiana, listen to me. This is the moment everything turns, but you have to trust us. My voice cracked. I trust you. The knocking stopped. Silence. Dead, heavy silence. Dad's eyes narrowed. They're not gone. They're repositioning. Marcus returned from the hall. Back exit is clear. Let's move. Ward grabbed her folder and laptop. We're getting you out of here and straight into protection. After that, we go straight at them. My breath stuttered. What does that mean? It means, she said, we're done letting them define the story. Another loud crash echoed outside. A car door slammed violently. Dad grabbed my hand. Move, now. I held Jalen tight against me as we rushed through the back corridor. My knees shook with every step. Just before we reached the exit, Ward touched my arm. Tiana, she said softly, when we walk through this door, everything escalates. I nodded, trembling. I'm ready. She looked at me, long enough to make sure I meant it. Then she pushed open the door. And the moment we stepped outside, a dark SUV screeched into the alley, tires screaming, cutting us off. The SUV's tires screamed against the pavement as it cut across the alley, blocking our path. I froze, clutching Jalen so tight he whimpered. My father moved in front of us without thinking, one arm out, body angled. Ward grabbed my sleeve and eased me back into the shadow of the doorway. Marcus shifted his weight, ready for whatever came next. For a second, nobody moved. The driver's door opened. A woman stepped out, medium build, dark blazer, ID badge clipped to her chest. Behind her, a uniformed officer emerged from the passenger side. Ms. Brooks, the woman called. My name is Monique Harris. I'm with Child Protective Services. My breath hitched. I held Jalen closer. They found us, I whispered. Ward stepped forward before I could say anything else. Ms. Harris, Ward called back, her voice calm but firm. Detective Anika Ward, City Police. We were expecting your involvement. You're a little earlier than the timeline we projected. Harris blinked, surprised. You were expecting us? Yes, Ward said. We have a situation of malicious reporting and evidence tampering involving my client here. You're looking at the name on the file. She's looking at the people abusing the system. The officer's hand hovered near his belt. Detective, if this is true, why wasn't this coordinated through the main office? Because, Ward replied, stepping fully into view and lifting her badge, I pulled this case after seeing irregular patterns in the reports, and I prefer to meet at a controlled location instead of walking into an ambush at a compromised address. Harris glanced at her ID, then at me peeking from behind the doorway, with the child clinging to my neck. Her expression softened just slightly. Can we talk inside? Somewhere private? Ward nodded, then turned to me. Tiana, come forward. My legs felt like they belonged to someone else. Still, I stepped out, holding Jalen on my hip. His curls were messy, face tear-streaked, thumb halfway to his mouth. Hi, I managed, voice shaking. This is Jalen. Harris studied us both. She didn't see a monster, I could tell. She saw a scared woman and a scared baby. Can we talk inside? Somewhere private? Ward nodded. We have a neutral space. You'll get to see everything. The recordings, the forged reports, the harassment flyers. Then you can decide if your time is being wasted. Harris hesitated, then nodded. All right, let's talk. Back inside, Marcus moved quietly around the small living room, giving us enough space but staying close. Harris sat across from me at the table. The officer waited by the door, watchful but not aggressive. My father set the recorder in front of her. Ward slid the folder and the printed flyers over. This, Ward said, tapping the recorder, is a call between Tiana and her husband and mother-in-law. You'll hear them threaten to shape what CPS sees. You'll hear them use your agency as leverage for control. Harris pressed play. Chase's voice filled the room, angry, slurred, accusing. Then Marsha's voice, smooth, calculated, talking about making one final report and how unstable mothers lose custody all the time. As the recording played, Harris's expression changed, from neutral to troubled to visibly disturbed. When it ended, she exhaled slowly. You recorded this when? Yesterday, my father said, before they escalated to distributing flyers and sending out photos with neglect accusations, before the neighborhood posts and anonymous calls. Ward handed her the printed photo with the caption about possible neglect, then the copy of the neighborhood group post, then Cheryl's statement about forged IDs and Marsha at the office. And these, Ward said, sliding over another set of pages, are internal notes from her employer indicating someone tampered with financial reports under her login. We have logs pulling IP addresses that don't match hers. Harris took it all in, quietly, eyes scanning, mind working. I'm not saying every report you got is fake, Ward added. I'm saying the primary source of these reports has a clear motive and a documented pattern of manipulation, and that matters. Harris looked up at me. Ms. Brooks, why didn't you come to us earlier? Tears burned my eyes. Because I was told, if I made any wrong move, if I said the wrong thing, you'd take my son and never give him back. Jalen squirmed in my lap and grabbed my necklace, unaware of the storm swirling over his head. I smoothed his hair. I know you have a job to do. I know you've seen real abuse. I'm not perfect, but I love him. I never laid a hand on him in anger. I never left him alone. They built a nightmare out of edited videos and lies. For a moment, the room was silent. Then Harris spoke, voice careful. Miss Brooks, let me be very clear. We don't take children because someone is difficult. We intervene when there is real, documented harm. And right now, she looked down at the paperwork again. It looks like the harm is being done to you. A shaky breath left my chest. Ward folded her hands. So, here's what we propose. You document this visit as contact. You note that the child is safe, bonded, clean, well-fed, no signs of neglect. You note the competing evidence we've provided, and you hold off on any removal action while we bring charges forward on the individuals manipulating your system. Harris thought for a long moment, then nodded. I can't close the case today, but I can flag it as disputed. Pause escalation and open a separate investigation into malicious reporting. Based on what I've seen and heard, that's appropriate. And in the meantime, I whispered. In the meantime, she said, looking at me, you stay with family, your father. You keep your son close. You answer calls from my direct number, and only mine. I'll give you my card. She wrote her cell phone number by hand on the back and slid it to me. And Miss Brooks, if anyone ever tries to use our agency as a threat again, you tell me directly. Tears slipped down my face. I nodded, unable to speak. The officer by the door finally relaxed his stance. Harris gathered the papers, the copy of the audio file, the flyers. I'll need time to verify all this, but I believe you're in danger from them, not from yourself. That changes everything. When she left, closing the door softly behind her, my knees almost gave out. Ward caught my arm. Breathe, she said. You just bought time. Now we use it. My father checked his watch. Time to move, he said, while they still think they're winning. What are you going to do? I asked. Ward answered for him. We're going to your mother-in-law's house with a warrant in the works, backup on standby, and enough evidence to make them sweat. Hours later, I sat on a hard plastic chair in a quiet conference room at the precinct, Jalen napping in my lap while Ward and my father stepped out to handle things. Marcus sat beside me, arms folded, a silent wall of reassurance. Whatever happens, he said, you remember this part. The part where you stopped running. I clung to that idea while minutes stretched into what felt like hours. Eventually, Ward returned. Her eyes told the story before her words did. They cracked, she said simply. My heart jumped. What do you mean? Your husband, she said, sliding into the chair across from me, is not built for interrogation. Once we played the recording and showed him the forged reports, he panicked, threw your mother-in-law under the bus, said she orchestrated everything. But then we played a few more clips. She gave a small, grim smile. And the Marcia? I asked.
Ward exhaled. She held out longer. But we had her on surveillance near your job with fake credentials. We had bank records showing her moving money from the account your car was sold into. We had logs of anonymous calls made from her phone to CPS and your landlord. The more we laid out, the quieter she got. My father walked in then, face tired but satisfied. Both of them, he said, are being held. Fraud, filing false reports, harassment, attempted kidnapping, assault, pending confirmation of your mugging ID. He gave me a look. If you're up for that. I am, I whispered. Ward leaned forward. We'll keep you updated on every step, but as of right now, they can't touch you. Not legally, not physically. And the house? I asked, terrified to hear the answer. That deed stays exactly where it belongs, Ward said. In your name. The next weeks moved in a blur of meetings and statements and signatures. Harris visited again, this time smiling as Jalen showed him his drawing of Mommy and Grandpa and Lion. She wrote no safety concerns in her notes. My boss called me personally to apologize after the forged report case broke. Cheryl testified. So did Marcus, so did my father, so did Ward. One afternoon, Harris called to tell me the CPS case was officially closed. No findings of abuse, neglect, or unfitness, she said. And a formal note added flagging malicious reporting from third parties. I sat on the steps of my grandmother's house when I heard it, Jalen playing with chalk in the driveway. I cried so hard my father had to take the phone from my hand and say thank you for me. Months later, I stood in a courtroom as the judge read out the terms of a no-contact order. Chase and Marcia sat at the respondents' table, their faces hard but beaten.
Their lawyer tried to argue family misunderstanding, overprotective concerns, miscommunications, but the evidence didn't lie. The recordings, the forged documents, the neighborhood flyers, the fake credentials, the mugging callback, the CPS ploys. The judge looked them over and said, "This is not protection, this is persecution." He granted the order, full. No calls, no visits, no contact with me or Jalen in any form. Walking out of that courthouse, I felt lighter than I had in years. Later that evening, I sat on the porch of my grandmother's house while my father fixed the loose railing. Jalen ran in circles with a plastic truck, giggling. The air was warm, the kind that lingered soft on your skin. "Dad?" I said quietly. "Yeah?" "Thank you for believing me, for not asking me to prove it before you stepped in." He tightened a screw and looked up. "I didn't need proof to believe you. I needed proof to bury them." I laughed, really laughed, for the first time in a long time. Detective Ward stopped by just before sunset, dropping off some final papers. "Administrative closure," she said. "You're officially off every list that matters." "And them?" I asked. "They still have some court dates in their future. Let's just say judges don't like people who waste CPS time and fake badges." She turned to leave, then paused. "You know, most people don't have someone like Calvin in their corner. They don't have recordings or witnesses or anyone who believes them when the story gets twisted." I swallowed. "What happens to them?" "Some make it out anyway, some don't. That's why we keep pushing for better protections, better training, better patterns, and better stories like yours." After she left, I watched the sky darken. Jalen climbed into my lap, his head against my chest. My father sat beside us, his arm along the back of the porch seat. "I used to think," I said softly, "that being quiet kept the peace. That if I just made myself small enough, the danger wouldn't notice me." "And now?" Dad asked. "Now I know silence doesn't keep you safe. It just keeps you alone." Jalen looked up at me sleepily. "We're not alone," he murmured. I kissed his forehead. "No, baby, we're not." For the first time, I believed it. If you watched this story all the way to the end, thank you for being here with me. If any part of Tiana's journey hit close to home, just know you're not crazy, you're not weak, and you don't deserve to be controlled. If you want more stories like this one, about survival, truth, and starting over, feel free to subscribe, leave a comment, or share this with someone who might need it. Either way, take care of yourself. You matter way more than they ever told you.